Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to dive into something that is just a fundamental part of being human, and that's anxiety. It's a feeling that, let's be honest, most of us know pretty well, but we might not really understand what's going on under the hood. So that's our goal here, to break down what it is, why it happens, and, most importantly, what on earth we can do about it.
You know that feeling when your mind is just racing and you can't turn it off? Your heart starts pounding out of your chest, or there's just this constant humming sense of unease in the background. Yeah, if any of that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are definitely not alone and you're in the right place. We're gonna make sense of this powerful feeling.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, the first big step is to kind of reframe how we think about anxiety. Instead of seeing it as this enemy we have to fight, let's look at it for what it is at its core, our body's own built-in natural alarm system.
Seriously, think of it like a survival mechanism. It's an evolutionary feature that's literally hardwired into us for protection. You know, back when our ancestors might face a real, physical threat, like a predator, this anxiety response would kick in. It would flood them with adrenaline, sharpen their senses, and get them ready to either fight or run for their lives. So its purpose, deep down, is to keep us safe.
And because of that, in moderation, anxiety is actually incredibly useful. Think about it. That little jolt you get before a big presentation or a job interview, that's your anxiety keeping you sharp, making you focused, and getting you ready to face the challenge. It really is a normal and even helpful part of life.
But what happens when that brilliant protective alarm system, well, what if it gets stuck in the on position? That's the tipping point. That's when this helpful tool can start to feel completely overwhelming and, frankly, pretty harmful.
You can really think of it as two sides of the same coin. On one side, you've got useful anxiety. It prepares us, keeps us alert, protects us. But on the other side, when it becomes overactive, it stops being a temporary warning and turns into this constant, tangled feeling that just gets in the way of actually living your life.
So what does this overactive alarm actually feel like? Well, it can show up in a bunch of ways. It could be that persistent worry that just won't quit, feeling restless all the time, or finding it almost impossible to concentrate. And it's physical too, like your shoulders being tense all day, a racing heart, or feeling short of breath. These are all signals that your internal system is working way overtime.
And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the issue. An overactive anxiety response is basically your brain's smoke detector going off because you burnt a piece of toast. The feeling of danger is 100% real, but the threat itself? It's often perceived rather than actual.
Okay, now we're going to talk about what might be the single most important message in this entire explainer. Seriously, if you only take one thing away from our time together, please let it be this. It is not your fault.
Just let that sink in for a second. So many of us blame ourselves, right? We think, I should just be stronger, or why can't I just get over it? But that's a total misunderstanding of what's happening. This has absolutely nothing to do with personal strength or being a failure of character.
What's crucial is to see it for what it truly is, a medical condition. Just like you wouldn't blame someone for having asthma or diabetes, this is a real psychological and physiological state. It has identifiable causes and, this is the important part, it has effective treatments. It's shaped by this whole mix of factors. Think of them like the roots of a tree. It can be triggered by really high levels of stress over a long time. It can be rooted in specific things we've gone through. It can be influenced by our genetics, and it can even come from patterns of thinking we've just learned over time. It's complex, and it's biological. Okay, so we get the problem. We've busted some of the biggest myths around it. Now for the really empowering part, the tools. Because the best news is that you are not powerless here. There are real, concrete things you can do to help reset that oversensitive alarm. Take something as simple as controlled breathing. Just by slowing down your exhale, you physically signal to your brain that you're safe. It actually activates the part of your nervous system that's designed to calm you down. Or things like grounding exercises. They pull your focus out of the storm in your head and back into the present moment. And then there are the bigger strategies, like learning to challenge anxious thoughts, moving your body regularly, and of course, seeking professional support. The key takeaway is this: it is manageable. So as we start to bring this all together, the central message here is really one of hope and empowerment. Calm isn't some magic personality trait that you either have or you don't. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. There's a line that just captures this perfectly. Understanding anxiety is the first step toward regaining a sense of safety and control.
Just the very act of learning how this system works is a huge, huge step toward taking back the steering wheel.
So remember, it's kind of like learning to play an instrument. Calm can be cultivated. With the right tools, with the right support, that feeling of peace and control can absolutely be practiced and restored.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Of all the tools we just talked about, what's just one thing you might try practicing today? Because, knowledge is powerful, but it's the action that really creates the change. Thanks so much for joining us.